Hello, hello. Video request from a Mateo Clemente, huh? One of those Hispanics. Look at the glasses and everything. Video request, cloning the woolly mammoth, huh? The Hispanic person. The Mexican. Sorry, I can't do Mexican horns very well. Cloning the woolly mammoth. Dude, that's a really good video request, man. Cloning of the woolly mammoth. Because I saw in the video, or in like Yahoo News or whatever, a year ago or whatever, that they found woolly mammoth and they've got the hair, and so they think they can figure out how to clone that thing. And they even have a timetable, and we'll be cloning that sucker, whether it's legal or not, and it will be legal within about 10 years. And this is huge for what it's going to do to our collective consciousness. It's going to have serious ramifications. It's going to allow us to get to the next level of consciousness, dude. The whole woolly mammoth cloning thing. It's going to go into history as being one of the catalysts for opening our brains up and making our brains extra smart so we can even use 100% of our brain. That's going to be one of the main things. It's going to be one of the most important days in history. Because it's going to actually show us as human beings that we can transcend the physical world and make dreams come true. I mean, imagine 150 years ago, before we even had, cell phones and cars and stuff, or even 1,000 years ago, you would think what's possible and what's not, and right now we're fucking all used to these cell phones like it's it's candy, like it's nothing, like it's natural part of us. We don't ask questions, we just have them and use them. And look what they can do. And we kind of got, introduced to this technology kind of slowly over a course of 100 years. So we really do, we're human beings are an animal that it can exist in a very wide range of realities. Like we could live with spaceships in the stars, like it's Star Trek and Star Wars, and wouldn't bother us at all because it's natural. It's in our DNA. So same thing with the woolly mammoth and the aliens coming down on the earth and everything, dude. But the thing about the woolly mammoth is we're gonna actually see firsthand. We're gonna see this thing grow up in some, climate-controlled environment and look at this fucking thing, and it's going to be totally different from anything that's alive in the world now, and we're going to go, holy shit, like we really can do it. We really can clone and create whatever the fuck we want. We think we want. Whatever we can think of, we can do. We just have to invest the tax dollars into science, and tell these fucking fundamentalist Christians to shove it up their ass, smoke a couple of bowls, open their minds a little bit. Because we're going to see this thing and we're going to be like, wow, like we can do it, because there's something, it's totally different. It's totally different level when you see something than when you just hear about it, like you could be like, oh yeah, I'm a badass, I ski off a cliff, and then you go to the edge of the cliff and you're like, oh shit, I'm a little bit scared, maybe I shouldn't do it, and you kind of sit there, like bungee jumping or anything like that. You're like, when it's real, it changes, and it's more intense. And like when you visit home, you've been away from your hometown for years and years, and then you go home and you're actually in your house you grew up in, and you're like, wow, it's real. And so that's what's going to be like checking out the woolly mammoth, going up there and being like, wow, being with the animal. And you're with an animal that belongs to another world. See, that's the thing that's going to do to our brains. We're going to be connected to another world. Because the woolly mammoth, us having a woolly mammoth here, it changes the entire dynamic of the whole planet. Because every single animal is hooked up to the grid. Our DNA, it's hooked up to the internet of our minds, the zeitgeist, Akashic records, there's lots of names for it. That goes around the whole planet, like the Van Allen belt. And every single animal species has one of those. And so you clone one woolly mammoth, we've got this whole nother element, physical element around our planet, the woolly mammoth element, which is also has information, a lot of information of the ice ages, and it's in all of its memories, the memories of the animal. You know, you don't just store memories in your soul, you can store memories in your DNA as well. And so all the memories and all the vibe from this other planet. So people, you know, like psychic people or anybody with an open mind, smokes enough weed, drops enough acid and mushrooms, can go and look at this animal at the zoo and be with the animal and pick up the vibe of the ice ages. You know how psychic people would sit in a room where Janis Joplin died, and they'll be able to tell how she died, or they'll pick up a watch from somebody and tell you what the person was like? Well, it's a gazillion times stronger with an actual living being, as big as a woolly mammoth. Normal people will be able to pick up the vibe of the ice ages. You look at the woolly mammoth, and you be with the woolly mammoth, and you picture that woolly mammoth in its environment, and go into his head and picture what he expects to live in, and imagine the ice ages, and you will really come to an actual realization, experienced that this world was in the ice ages, and all the stuff that we see, the evidence of, actually happened. Then you'll expand that into, you know, the comet fragments in South Carolina that destroyed Atlantis. You know, you look at those, you go, holy shit. You look at pictures of the pyramid, you go, oh my god, like somebody built that, like an alien built that. You know, the Temple of Baalbek, Lebanon, and all the monuments, the zillions of monuments we have, we'll actually be able to grok, you know, absorb and contemplate and understand the wider world out there, which will allow us to accept extraterrestrials coming down here and giving us their free energy and all their other cool technology, so that we can stop killing the planet. So yeah, as far as a consciousness opener upper, cloning of the woolly mammoth, man, is what will do it. And once we clone a woolly, we could clone all kinds of other animals. You know, we could clone a dinosaur. It wouldn't be able to stand up because they lived in a lot less gravity. But you know, you could clone them and prove to people that they can't stand up, and then you could use that to prove to people that the Earth used to be a lot smaller, and prove to them all the other stuff. Because people don't really pay attention to science. You know, you show them a picture of Baalbek, Lebanon, and they put some blinder over, and they go, "I still don't believe it was humans who drug a 1,000-ton stone 60 miles across the desert and cut it perfectly and stacked it up on top of each other." Yes, that. But you can't really deny something that you actually see. And people who could say, you know, we never went to the moon or whatever, this, that, and the other thing. We can clone a woolly mammoth. How would you like it if we clone this alien body? No, don't! I know it to be true and I'm not ready. Yeah, if we clone a woolly mammoth, we could clone something else and be more likely to clone an alien body. I think we found some on the moon. Wouldn't that be cool to clone an actual extraterrestrial human? And or clone fucking Lenin? You know, they have Lenin, you know, from Russia. He's in a museum, like encased. We've got like Walt Disney's on ice. We could bring these guys back. We could clone them, and we wouldn't necessarily bring their souls back, although we could, because it's so similar. The DNA is so similar to their soul. We could actually resurrect Walt Disney like he wanted to be. His soul could get infused in that little clone. But even if his soul doesn't, because we never really have no really way of knowing, unless he has past life memories. But you could do all kinds of tests on these guys who you clone and see, you know, how much of history was a result of the circumstance that these leaders were in, and how much of the decisions that we know they made from the history books is a result of their genetic propensity. But by knowing the real person who's alive, you know, the real live clone of Stalin, you know, maybe he's a dick at work and he's really forceful and yells at people, you know, who knows? Or maybe he's Mr. Nice Guy. If he's Mr. Nice Guy, we'll be like, oh my God, we really are a product of our environment. If he's a dick, we're like, oh my God. You know? I think it's more towards, we're just a product of our environment. It's the subtle things that aren't inconsequential that are genetic.